One of the questions is, will voters care which email account Hillary Clinton used as Secretary of State? With the White House Benghazi Committee issuing new subpoenas, there is potential political fallout ahead of the 2016 presidential race. A.B. Stoddard is associate editor and columnist for The Hill. Tim Carney is senior political columnist at the Washington Examiner. Since the New York Times broke this story, A.B., there has been, well, gathering momentum of criticism of the former Secretary of State. How much political trouble would you say she is in over this?
Well, I think the actual story itself is pretty damaging stuff. She knew when she took this job in 2009, obviously. She was very familiar with working in government. Once you have a job like the one she was taking on, nothing is private and nothing is yours. And she knew as Secretary of State she would be engaging in very sensitive communications that were supposed to belong to this government, and she took them away to her own system. She also knew in 2009 she would be likely running for president again, and she would be making sure that everything was set up for that and to not impede that. So she made a decision thinking this would never come out, or risking it coming out, which I think is really incredibly tone deaf. But if we took everything aside, John, about whether or not it's legal, what's the substance of the emails, do other politicians protect their private electronic trails, she is still under real pressure to discuss why she chose to skirt the rules and cover everything up and keep it separate so that no one could come and find it. I think the tweet last night actually made things worse for her. I really do, because everyone knows that the State Department doesn't have her email. She has her emails.
And Tim, it's not just Republicans who are raising a ruckus about this. I surfed the papers this morning. The Washington Post is quoting former South Carolina Democratic Party Chairman Dick Harpootlian. He says, there's always another shoe to drop with Hillary. Do we nominate her not knowing what's in those emails? And then Tad Devine, a Democratic strategist who has worked on half a dozen or so presidential campaigns, is quoted in the Wall Street Journal saying she needs to explain why she did what she did. I do think it's a real issue, and I think it's an issue that has to get dealt with on a serious level. A lot of Democrats raising some questions about, you know, the wisdom of their putative front runner.
Well, and I think you see part of what happened in 2008. It's becoming clearer. Yes, Barack Obama was a very compelling candidate, but there were so many people, and I would be on the ground in Iowa and New Hampshire, who sort of wanted it to be Hillary. They wanted the first woman. They liked her politics, but they weren't excited about her. They were sort of holding their nose to vote for her. And once they got a credible alternative in Obama, they did it. This is why she is famously opaque. It's not just that she's hiding, you know, that she did this email, but then she's not answering. She has very controlled answers over Twitter. She's not responding to the media. And she has inner circles with whom she shares lots of information. But the rest of the Democratic Party is not in that inner circle. And they have the same distrust for her that a lot of her conservative critics have.
And Tim, staying with you for the moment, what do you think about the notion that she's asking the State Department to review the emails that she gave them and then hand them over?
Well, and so again, it was on her computer server, so she could hand over everything she has. But one of the problems there is that repeatedly you've seen tech experts in the last couple days say her server had the ability where she could delete something and it would be gone forever in the way that you couldn't if it was something like Gmail or a government server. And so there we're being asked kind of to trust that she's handing over everything. I know that, as you're saying, it's not just people on the vast right-wing conspiracy who have trouble saying, all right, Hillary, I'll trust you on this.
And, you know, A.B., it would be fascinating to know the genealogy of this whole thing. How, you know, whose idea was it for her to open up her own server, locate it in her house, and handle her emails that way?
I just think I don't know who was responsible for creating this system for her. I just think it obviously makes a lot of sense given her history that she wants to hide information. She wanted to protect it from inquiries from the courts or the Congress, from maybe the West Wing, whatever she wanted to cover up. We don't know if she was doing Clinton Foundation emails. We don't know, having a personal email account is fine, but she chose to conduct her entire tenure as Secretary of State with nations from around the world, sensitive diplomacy, over an insecure system that was supposed to be contained and secured in her job. And she chose to to buck the rules. And I think it's pretty brazen. If she didn't have a background as a secretive person, I still think it would be pretty bold.
And
but she does.
As Tim says, you know, any of that stuff could have been deleted from that server, and we'll never know, apparently. That's what the experts are saying. All right, A.B. Stoddard, Tim Carney, thank you both.